Hey there, my name is Gunnar Galloway, and I'm going to give you a presentation on South Korea and a food that hails from South Korea. First of all, just a little background information. South Korea is located in the eastern portion of Asia. It's bordered by the East Sea, the China Sea, and the Yellow Seas, which are all kind of a connection there of the Pacific Ocean, which you can see there in that drawing. It's also bordered to North Korea, obviously to the north, and is separated by the demilitarized zone in between North and South Korea, which is basically just a zone where no military action is allowed to persist. Getting into the food that I'm actually going to talk about, I've chosen kimchi. The reason I've chosen kimchi is mostly because it just seems to be the most important food in South Korea. Everything that I've read says that kimchi is the staple. It is a side. It's not usually served as the main dish, but it consists of cooked or boiled cabbage, depending on what you want to do with it. It's usually fermented, and it also contains radishes and some other ingredients that I'll get into later when I go over a recipe. Um, as far as the history of kimchi in South Korea, it debuted in about the 16th century is the earliest that I can find it showing up, and it's been a staple on dinner plates since. From what I've read, many families have their own variations of the recipes. They just get passed down from generation to generation. So many families you'll find prepare it slightly different or even really different with different ingredients and everything than other families. And many of these families even have entirely separate refrigerators where they store it at before they're ready to prepare it. It's considered to be an irreplaceable as a side dish. I've read that everywhere. Everywhere that I read says that as a side dish, it's got to be there. And in most settings, it is considered an incomplete meal unless kimchi is a side dish. And just a little fun fact: instead of saying cheese whenever they take a picture, many Koreans say kimchi instead. So that just kind of gives you an idea of the cultural significance of the food. Um, as far as agriculture, over 1.5 billion tons of kimchi is grown and consumed in South Korea each year. So to put that into kind of more sensible term, that's over 3 trillion pounds of cabbage that is grown and consumed every 365 days in South Korea. I did not do the math to see how often that was, but that's a lot. And it's because their temperate climate is perfect for the growing of the cabbage. I hit my 3 minute mark, but I'm going to go ahead and finish the food preparation. Basically, you just cut a cabbage in half, separate the leaves, and salt each leaf. And you're supposed to salt more heavily towards the stem. Let it rest for 2 hours and flip those leaves every 30 minutes. In a separate bowl, you want to add water, sweet rice flour, garlic, ginger, onion, fish sauce, and hot pepper flakes. Some people add shrimp, give or take. You add all those together to make the porridge, which is more or less the paste that goes on it. You add radishes, carrots, and green onion or chives if you want, and then water drop work to that mixture of the garlic, ginger, etc. Mix that all up, and that's your paste, and you spread that over your leaves after they've dried for 2 hours. And you can either eat that immediately, or you have to let it sit. And if you let it sit for up to 3 days, it ferments, and that is the Napa cabbage kimchi that is mostly eaten in South Korea. Thank you for your time, and thank you for watching my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something.